gentlemen, we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Vadrin, take it away.
Hello and welcome to Station 42, your weekly content and community-focused Star Citizen talk show. Today's show is hosted by the one and only Traz Ion. Say hello, Traz.
Hey guys, how's it going? Ready for the night? Let's do this.
And yours truly, the infamously smooth. I can never say that right. Vadrin Malik.
It's so ironic. That's why I put it in there.
I know, isn't it?
Troll-tastic.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
All right.
hey, let's not forget today's in-fiction sponsor. So, you can recoup your losses there.
Nah, I'll still mess this up somehow. Bapjanigan Luxury Cruises. Do you need a refreshing place to relax? Are you wanting to travel the stars in style? Do you want to try the best quality champagne? Then you've come to the right ship. We offer the best quality of travel for the best quality of people. Womans. Men need not apply.
Oh. Oh, man. And our broadcast is supported by the Star Citizen Facebook community. Hey, love you guys. Also known as Ready Player One. The Star Citizen subreddit, also an amazing place to hang out. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all those crazy, amazing content creators. And of course, last but not least, the amazing people at CIG who keep our community live and thriving.
I think that we need to get new sponsors.
Yeah. Well, we gotta talk to these orgs and see if they want a spot on our show, so we can, slaughter their intro.
There you go. Make it as cheesy, as funny as you like.
Right.
Anyway, today I'd like to introduce our special guest, Jacob Raban. Raban. We can go with that.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on today.
A fellow Star Citizen, killing it all the way from Maryland. He's a backer coming up in his first full year with a solid mixed fleet that includes cats, dragonflies, a lot of animals, and a mix of good cargo ships. Aspirations for a Banu down the road. I'm hoping a female, and currently flying for the Falcon Aerospace Industries. Hello, Jacob.
Hey there.
Look, I fixed it in the notes. It didn't. It never happened.
Right.
All right. Well, hey man, it's good to have you on. So I know you're a fan of the show, and you reached out before. We got to fly and hang out, and that was a really great time. And thank you for coming on the show and spending your time with us. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Hey, I'm happy to help in whatever way I can.
Right.
I love the show, and I'm glad to support it.
All right, well, let me look. Here's my bank account number is 35. No.
What? Where? Huh?
So
Sorry,
hey,
my bank account is hooked directly to Star Citizen.
Directly to Chris Roberts. Yeah, I know. Like it used to be Steam, and now it's just straight to CR's. Direct draw. I'm his personal ATM.
Speed dial.
Pretty much, man. I'm sorry about the intro. I just got to have fun with some of you guys, and you seem like a person that I could really pick on because Trez always picks on me. I got to pick on somebody.
What?
I'm sorry.
I do not. So mean.
He's
Bottom totem pole, I guess.
Yeah, it's lonely down here.
Yeah, so speaking of CR, man, we got some competition these days. Like what No Man's Sky just released. Either of you fine gentlemen hooking it up with that space genre endeavor?
I've wanted to do it, but I just can't bring myself to make the purchase. I've been checking out the YouTube videos, so I get the gist of it.
Well, I don't know. Do you play?
I pre-ordered it, and
nice.
I'm excited to play. I know it's no Star Citizen; it's its own game,
right?
And I think a lot of people are saying there's a lot of features to it, but not a lot of depth to them. But
Right.
I'm still excited to have it in my hands.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I'm okay with the brightly colored aesthetics of it. I think it's nice. It's a nice. I like it because it's specifically not Star Citizen, and it'll give me an opportunity to play something that's kind of the opposite. But my concern with it is very much like, I don't know if you guys ever played the old game Spore, right? Spore was supposed to do all these different kinds of things, and it was like the devs had these amazing visionary ideas for what they wanted to do with it. It was very ambitious. And then, you got the game, and, they got their legs cut out from under them by the publishers because, they just want to get it to market, and those features are going to take too much effort. So, unfortunately, the game was a whole bunch of mediocre good ideas that had mediocre execution thrown together. And don't get me wrong, like, I really enjoyed the first stage where you're swimming around as a little cell and you're growing up, and that's cool, but it was so shallow. And then you go to the next stage, and the next stage was a lot of fun because now you're actually building out your creatures. And what brings me back to that game again and again when I get the mood for it was the combination of the building your creature.
Direction, you could take it.
Well, yeah, but there really wasn't any direction because each of the direction you had such a limited. Once you made your creature, I mean, aesthetically you had directional choice, but as far as the gameplay, it was like in the first 5 minutes you mastered the gameplay, and then it was just a matter of grinding through that level and being done. It was the same thing for the next 2 stages, which were just weak sauced RTS versions, and then you finally got to space where it opened up into this sandbox exploration and modify these worlds and everything else, and that started off okay until you realized that you could just game the different systems to get the achievements to unlock the certain things, and then it was like, and you had to almost game the system and power game it, otherwise you got screwed because of the way the random interactions happened. Like, if you didn't talk to people, they were angry with you. If you talked to them early, then they had demands, and if you didn't help them, they'd be angry with you. And of course, if you talked to them early, you're not ready to help them, so it was just got this circle jerk. But anyway, that was Spore. So my whole thing is my concern is, like you were saying, is that No Man's Sky may very well be one of those things where if all of the features emulate the cool things about the survival, exploration, building genre games that are out right now, but they don't do it with enough depth, it's just going to be a $60 game that I play every now and then I just don't, So we'll see.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I think part of that is just the demands of the publisher.
Yeah, Sony.
Yeah.
Sony's wrecked other games I've loved before,
No, they don't have any history of that.
No, never. Yeah, no. I don't know, but I mean, but be that as it may, I still picked up the game, and I'm still excited to to check it out. That's for sure. So I don't know, like what features do you think do you foresee of No Man's Sky having the most merit or value to you, or even that you'd like to see in Star Citizen? I mean, I know No Man's Sky definitely has the giant universe and the procedural animals. Oh my gosh! Now that we
shoot me a deer.
Well, I mean, seriously, I mean, in Star Citizen, I mean, I cannot wait to see like what our developers do for animal and plant designs. Are they going to be able to do that? Are they going to be able to make procedural animals, or because of the fidelity of the ships and the people and the space stations and the planet, attempting to make animals isn't going to work? Because if you look at No Man's Sky, their animals look really cool, but part of the advantage of it being cartoonish is very much like Spore. You can plug those things together, and they don't have to look perfect. They don't have to look anatomically functional in order to be believable. But in Star Citizen, if it's not believable, if it's not high fidelity, it's not gonna,
Yeah, I know what you mean. One thing, what I'm really excited about with No Man's Sky, and I feel like this has been played down some, is the space combat. And, I enjoy it in Star Citizen.
Right.
But I'm terrible at PvP games. It doesn't matter what it is.
Well,
so I'm
practice.
excited for some good PvE space combat.
Nice. Well, yeah. Well, PvP is always a challenge. You have to bite the bullet and deal with sucking, and just you have to develop the grit, the personal grit, to just continue to fight through it no matter how bad it is. And then over time you're like, oh, I'm not as bad as I was, and eventually you get good. I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I see it takes from a solid week to a solid month of playing seriously and regularly in PvP to hone your skills to get into the the top brackets. I mean, to become a full-fledged master. There are guys that definitely put in their thousands of hours to do that, and props to it. But there's definitely a level of diminishing returns as you approach that like top 1% or top 0.001%. So.
Yeah, I do feel like I've had some improvement, especially since I set up my like HOTAS mount, the controller and everything. I know I talk about that in the Ready Player One group whenever anyone brings up setups.
No, man, that was impressive. I saw your rig. Good job. Like I remember downloading the PDF for the piping, and I was like, "Oh, that's too much work." And really, I should have done it a long time ago. I mean, I've built one little contraption on my DX Racer chair on the left side for my throttle, but I still need to build another one for the Warthog on the right side, so I can stop having to do this weird juggling where I switch things out and I'm balancing it on a board that's across my legs and. For as much as I talk about having a stable platform to aim off of so that you don't mess with your aim, a la like when you hold your breath when you're going to shoot a rifle or controlling your trigger squeeze. I'm talking about all of that, yet I'm sitting here flying a Warthog on top of a cutting board on top of both of my across my legs. I'm like, that doesn't work. I don't know. Do you guys like? I don't follow No Man's Sky that closely. Do you guys know whether or not we'll be using our HOTAS to fly the spaceship in that, or is it really just going to be like X3, where I was like, "Yay, a spaceship game," and then I got the spaceship game, and it was like there was no way to set up a flight stick with X3. It was all mouse driven.
I think right now, at least, the mechanics are very simple. Mm-hmm. And I know they said before they didn't really have plans to implement like a complex flight system like one you would find in Elite or Star Citizen.
Right.
And I think I heard at some point in the past that there wasn't going to be HOTAS support, but that may change because the game is getting bigger and they're planning on doing
more
regular updates. But only time's gonna tell. I haven't seen any official confirmation or any official information that it won't be there.
Gotcha.
If you want to post in the chat, then whoever has that information, then that'd be a good thing to see.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like I didn't even think about that when I pre-ordered it, and like thinking about it now, I'm like, man, I hope I don't regret that. Because I was super excited for X3. I read all the reviews, and I guess I'd missed the first game, so I'd never really played it. And we were sitting on TeamSpeak at the time, me and my org mates way back when it first released, and they were all super excited about it. They're like, yeah, as soon as it unlocks, we're gonna download it and we're gonna stream it. And then my roommate was like, hey, man, it's almost your birthday. I'm going to buy it for you. So he bought it for me. So I bought it. I'm waiting. I downloaded it. I played through, like, the intro. I started to fly. I couldn't set anything up where it would work with any of my cool HOTAS stuff. And I was like, wow, this sucks. And I don't think I've ever played it again. Like, I tried to play it. Like, I once put it on my laptop to play it like CQ duty or something while I had to kill time.
Damn.
and I just I was like, I'd rather play Star Control 2 on DOS.
Damn.
Well, I mean, I've heard that they went back and did a bunch of patches to fix the content because there were so many like angry complaints from their community. But yeah, I mean, I guess like any game, it's always going to be a toss-up. I mean, the only confidence that we are extended by being backers of Star Citizen or active backers is that by flying and seeing it in alpha, we know our expectations for the fidelity and gameplay is being built as we play. So, I have no doubt that this game, where the direction it's going and what it's going to feel like and play like, because we're watching as every single step is built out. But a game like, No Man's Sky, no matter how good it sounds, I mean, until it's in your hands and you're actually playing it, there's no way to know whether it's going to be really fun or not.
I'm hoping that there's tons and tons of animals. That's the biggest concern is that you don't really want to only have like 100 different templates. You want to have like
I wonder.
like it basically have this leg, these sets of legs on these style of bodies on these
Right.
style of things. I mean, making that all work, I could see where if you had like tables and libraries and everything could be mixed and matched like that, but still, at the end of the day, you only have 100. You don't have 1,000, or you don't have 10,000
Right.
different animal sets just for eyes alone.
Right.
So the diversity kind of is my big concern.
Well,
I mean, I props to the game for being able to achieve a galaxy.
Right.
That's awesome. But
right. But you got to consider those planets are all single biomes, so you don't have a mixture of biomes. Yep. You have ice planet, desert planet, this planet, that planet.
Hey, it works for Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I got that. But like, think about it. If the planet's super giant, if you land in one place, you've pretty much landed as if you'd landed anywhere. So the size of the planet no longer matters. If there's only 20 different planet types, well, then once you've seen all 20, then they're really another planet of the same type doesn't matter. Part of the benefit of having multiple biomes on a single planet is that you can have it's not just about whether they have those three things, but how do those three things interact with each other, and then you mix in the geometry of the terrain. You mix in the color of this is what I liked about Spore, is you could do all these world modification tools to customize. You could change the sea color, the earth color, the sky color, and those combinations would give a different look. And then you could mix and match, the different tiers of ecologies. So you could have like 4 different tiers of, plants, animals, or herbivores, predators, and then at each level, small trees, medium trees, large trees, and so basically you could customize your world significantly, and then you could go around and use terrain building tools to make it unique. So I'm sure that with their high speed procedural generation, there is going to be a lot of variety, even with every planet being a single biome, even with only a certain number of types of biomes, even with a certain number of animals, But yeah, I it's kind of like Minecraft. It's like, once you know all the biomes, Minecraft is not quite infinite, but it's so large that it might as well be, which is the same thing with No Man's Sky. And, the fun part of Minecraft is usually the first, few days that you're playing in an area as you're starting to know it and you're building up. But once you've, built up, it's like, well, then every biome, it's all pretty much the same. You come back to it for, other than its infinite nature, you come back to it for when you're building something cool. And since this game doesn't have the multiplayer aspect, you can't really build together. And since the only real mission is to head to the center of the, well, I shouldn't say the only real mission, because there's all kinds of things that you can do in your local environment. You can trade with aliens, you can do all these other things. But,
get shot at by aliens.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I have high hopes for it. I mean, if I sound salty, it's really just because I'm, if anything, I just don't want it to suck. I want it to be good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but
he's passionate.
I'm passionate about everything. They were saying something about the animals too, like that they, how are they generated? Oh, so the templates for the animals are then further modified by the planet that they spawn on. So if you were to take the same exact template by luck or randomness or whatever and put them on 2 different worlds, their physical traits would be varied based on the input of their environment. So I think that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know, like, how do you guys think Star Citizen will pull that off?
I mean, I think Star Citizen is going to have a very different approach because while No Man's Sky is entirely procedurally generated,
right,
Star Citizen has some procedural generation planned, but it's going to be the foundation upon which they're going to handcraft some stuff, or maybe it goes the other way around. But anyways,
Right.
it's going to be a lot more condensed, and there's going to be a lot of handcrafted stuff that we're going to get to see. So
Right.
I'm really interested to see how they strike that balance.
Yeah. No. That, what do you think, Adrian? I mean, I think
Well,
that sounds pretty accurate. It's gonna be, it's always gonna be the dance for Chris, because Chris likes control, and he wants it to, he wants to tell a story, and where the story is very, well assembled, and having procedural things would definitely challenge that, I think.
well, let's take a look at what we're faced with here. A large amount of the systems, by their default nature, don't really have that much life. So we terraformed them, and so the animals that are on the systems of the ones that we terraformed are pretty default. They're going to be the things that you would
That
expect
we
to
brought and
see.
corrupted
Yeah,
their
that we brought to
ecosystem
them.
with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I
Although,
mean, well, there's going to be some places. There's going to be some places that are going to have a lot of animals that are going to be natural there. So he's really only got to just make certain
Actually,
planets full fleshed.
that's an
you could
interesting point.
consider
Go ahead.
that the animals are going to adapt to that environment. So, like the example I'm thinking of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Red Rising novels, but
Yeah.
they brought snakes to Mars, and the snakes evolved and they became pit vipers, and they're snake-like, but they have a lot of their own traits and nuances. Like, they seek out heat and they burrow into people's stomach, and like you've never seen anything like that
Well,
here on Earth.
well, that's the thing of it is that those would be a genetic mutation that eventually lends its way into the snake's cycle. But what I'm looking at is that, like I was saying, like, take for example the system of men. Men only has, like, it doesn't even have a star. It only has like a single gas giant and a few other random rogue planetoids that are floating around it. It's its own proverbial moons. So the system is basically dead. There's a possibility that something could live on it, but the possibility is very slim due to tidal heat. So with that in mind, what's going to happen is all the systems are going to be like, say, they're all going to be pre-made. So the animals, if you've seen a cat on one system, you might have a lower gravity cat on another one, and you might have longer legs and more wild fur or something. But beyond that, it's still going to be a cat. Um, think of these evolutionary changes don't happen in 200 years; they happen in millennia. So
That's
a
a
cat's
good
still
point.
going to a cat is still going to be a cat is still going to be a cat, and a cow is still going to be a cow. So we're going to probably see cows. Cattle will be a very simple thing for them to do, and it would make a lot of sense because they have to import their food. Cows provide the milk and other things, so that in and of itself is going to lend itself to it. So he's really only got to really kind of create exotic worlds on just a few planets, like the Fair's ape, which is like this rare legendary ape. The pirates go kill a Fair's ape and drink liquor from his skull. That's one of the pieces in the lore that I was attracted to.
Ah, nice. I need to really go back and reread all of the lore again. It has been a while. I'd I used to make the effort to stay current on every single piece of lore as it came out, and I've kind of gotten out of the habit. So I know I'm a few jump points behind on my stories, and I've missed a few little lore drops here and there through the weeks, and it's
Well,
just no bueno.
well, if you listen to it though, biome has bio in it, and so there are going to be some places that are going to just be a single biome. Like, for example, in our own solar system, you can look at Io. It's just shit all the way around.
Yeah, but like, who ate all the food, and then who stopped by Io and took such a large dump?
I would not know, and I'd never want to meet him.
Hey man, well, what I was going to say though is a
There's a
point.
political joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that the point that you were talking about earlier about animals and being tied to their races on the planets that are colonized, that actually might be a viable idea, like in the sense that that's pretty. I hadn't never thought of it that way, but that makes good sense. Like you might assume that if humanity has its core cash crop, its core, you know,
Chickens.
food stock that it knows that its people like and that they approve of and that they'll eat, and if they're manufactured, that they're going to take those with them to any planet that they
Pretty
terraform
much.
and then populate it. So you might actually do something like that where, say, they cast out the animals and wildlife for a functioning colonized terraformed planet's ecosystem, and then they come in and they just corrupt. So when you land on a planet, you might have 80% of the animals are the same. If you're in human space, 80% of the animals are human assigned animals, and then maybe
Right.
20% or the rare animals that you might try to hunt there for whatever might be
Correct.
custom done by artists. So that way they're not having to make custom content for everything, nor rely on a fully procedurally generated animal creator that
Well,
may create stuff that's outside of what Chris would want to see, because he.
so
And then they would do the exact same palette, almost like just like they do for the other races, where they do a what are they calling it, the oh my god, the style guide, like an animal, like the animals that a species has, its meat and plant products are going to be a part of its style guide. So that if you fly into Banu space and you land on one of their worlds, you're
you're
going to
gonna
see.
get Bonu chicken.
Well, yeah. So I mean, that even actually fits into one of the lore stories I'd read about a guy who was doing food testing for the Xi'an, and they had hired him to test this food, and he was like, "This is really weird because this mission is not what they've hired before." And it turned out that it was really, he wasn't testing the food. They were on this planet because his co-scientist was actually an android, and that was like unheard of technology, and they were trying to see whether or not he would develop an emotional rapport with her, and whether or not she would pass basically a Turing test of being able to pass as human. So that was a really interesting lore story. I don't know if you've read it or not. I don't remember the name of it.
One of the things that I've always thought about in terms of terraforming worlds and whatnot is that it's its own solution to the problems that are plaguing us today. For example, we have the big cats are going away, the rhino, the elephant, and whatnot. So one idea that comes to my mind is that humanity could set aside a secondary world just to hold all the wildlife from the original Earth as kind of a backup plan B in case things go south.
Uh, yeah, that is an interesting idea. I mean, it seems like in the
It's
Star
it's like it's
Citizen lore,
basically like a
though,
giant zoo
right?
on a
I
single
don't,
planet.
but I don't think that Star Citizen has like, or I'm sorry, the United Empire of Earth. I don't think, as they're described in the Star Citizen
They
lore,
wouldn't.
have that. Yeah, I mean, like they've tried to do the humanitarian thing with the Ark world, as a giant apology for being a bunch of fucking human bastards. But however,
Oh yeah.
they we haven't even been able to complete that. So because it was such a
Well,
resource strain.
well, the Ark was built. That was correct. It's the synth world that's the
Oh, the synth
resource
world.
drain.
You're correct. You're right.
Because
The Ark is built, but yeah, yeah.
the arc though, but see
Lore master.
that's my tie-in to that though, is that why not, if there's going to be a place for planetary knowledge, why wouldn't biology be a part of that? And so I could see there being all these zoos of animals that are even threatened today, just living in their own virtual, not even realizing that it's virtual world, being taken care of. I could see those kind of things being set aside. I mean, you got to populate a world with something once you've terraformed it. Nobody wants to just see, you know, grass all the time.
Right.
You're going to drop horses on it. You're going to drop deer on it, rabbits, whatnot, because you want it to be able to thrive.
Right. So I don't know. Like I do hope that they can do a certain level of procedural generation for that, just because I would really like to see a grand variety of flora and fauna. So I mean, No Man's Sky is pretty. It is, but their 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 aesthetic allows them to be a little more flexible, I think. Whereas Star Citizen's fidelity is going to require probably, just like you said, probably a little bit more hand handcrafting, a little more artist touch. But that's so much content, and my fear is that if they try to do that, it's going to become overwhelming, and they're going to decide that it's a lower priority than the things that players are interacting with on a more constant basis, like i.e. spaceships, space stations, cities.
I'm looking to SC's expansions, and I'm also looking for No Man's Sky's expansions. That's the one thing that I was about to make mention of about Spore, was that Spore actually had expansions.
Right. Well,
now I don't know if they did.
Before you go down the road of expansion terminology, just in case we have any listeners who are not familiar with Star Citizen, Star Citizen will ever be updating and adding new content and features, but I don't think they ever talked about doing any full expansions. They said that it was just they would have things that were in the verse that could generate money, and then that money and development funds would just go straight back into the game and produce.
Well, you wouldn't realize that you were basically buying the expansion by generating the money. What I'm saying is like maybe, it could be completely crazy. It could be like maybe Pepsi Cola wants to put its stake inside of Star Citizen, and so now you have Pepsi ads everywhere. God forbid that happen, but I mean, it's everything is possible. What I'm getting at is that you can take that money and you could generate. You're constantly making content, so I really don't see where they're going to. Yeah, it might not be all that great in the beginning, like it might only be like maybe 100 animals tops, but then the next year there might be 110. 120, 150. Right. They might say, let's just do animals one year and say, bam, here's 1,000,
Right. And kind of hope so. I mean, it's the same thing with even now, like right now, everything feels like we're getting an IV drip of content because we're super plugged in. Like literally, we talk about Star Citizen every single week. We scour the forums, we scour the Reddit, we scour the Facebook, we scour the videos, the comm links, everything. We've got plugins for our browsers that track every developer comment. All these different things. So for us, it's like being a kid in school. It's like a school year felt like a decade. Then when you grow up, it time flies a lot more. So I think the reality is that development is actually moving along pretty good, especially now that CIG's got their shop fully set up. The pipelines are finally starting to pick up. They're starting to get their legs under them, and
this is where Jacob weighs in.
Way to drop
answer.
Don't cast a grease spell under him. Come on, man. No, he can definitely Jacob comment, but
I'm sorry, I was fixing up, doing a little tech stuff, but what was the topic?
Well, here's Vadron has no sense of timing. Like he thinks he needs to cut me off, but I was delivering you the topic. I was just getting there the long way.
I got it screaming for you.
You do tend to do that.
A little bit. Yeah. No, and now he's derailed me, so now the topic is a bust. God damn
it. Well, let's go ahead and ask some dirty questions that we got. So, what about the girlfriend? Is she actually planning on playing the Star Citizen with you?
Is that directed at me?
That sounds like a dirty answer.
Yes. Yeah. Like, is now Banu Merchantman or your girlfriend? Let's be honest. Oh.
Ow. I can feel the chills from the headset.
She's not listening to this, is she? She's going to kill me.
I hope not.
No, she's not. Don't worry.
Oh,
no,
man.
she's I've convinced her to at least give it a try.
That's awesome.
And she knows that I'm really excited about it, so she supports me in that. Sometimes she does get a little frustrated with me about it, but it's to be expected.
Shame on her.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Nah.
Well, and that's good. I think when you can actually have a female avatar, it'll be a little more appealing to, the fairer sex. So.
Hey, Katrina, how do I feel about Star Citizen?
Shut up and die. No, so actually the topic that I was covering earlier the point of what I was getting to is that Star Citizen has been releasing things. To us, it feels slow because we're really immersed, right? But realistically, now that they've got their legs under them, we're definitely moving into a period where the content that they're releasing is pretty immense. Like 2.5 just came out, and the criticism for 2.5 was that, oh, it's barely anything. It's just it's one station and a couple more clothes and a ship. That's nothing. That doesn't count. That's how is that enough? Well, the thing is here's the thing. So in the day that I spent flying in 2.5, day and a half, I guess. There's a lot more going on there than just a couple of things. And a lot of those things are the kinds of tech and coding that support.
People push, like, they don't think about the back end stuff.
Right.
Well, and, we see this big lighting overhaul.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it's huge.
And,
it affects everything. It's not just ArcCorp. It's not just Port Olisar. It's affecting, like, when you're out on ICC missions. So it's stuff that affects the whole game, the quality of everything.
Yep, and they're rolling out more item 2.0 stuff. There's the hangars 2.0, or like landing 2.0. That's what it is. I think people will tend to base their thoughts on the patch on what they're able to play and access, but a big part of it is the stuff that you can't see, and it's successful because you can't see it.
Right.
You get what I mean by that?
Yeah. No, it's sometimes it's hard to qualify it in words without sounding like you're just defending it. But there's
I think Hippie Bob did it best. You just gotta believe, man.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. Like, so as far as 2.5 is concerned, what are you guys most tracking? Like, I mean, I played it a little bit today, so if you guys have questions, but I've talked a lot, so I'll be sparing. Like, what are you guys excited about?
Grimhex.
I'm pretty excited to see, like, the EVA areas of Grimhex, and I'm excited about the emerging gameplay in there. Especially, like, you're not gonna have to take a trip out to Korea and, like, assemble a group of people in the server to go do some FPS stuff. Now it's just out the back door.
Well, that's true. If your whole team goes off and commits a crime, so that way you all respawn there, it's super easy to quickly get back to that battleground. I will say this, that a couple of interesting things about Grimhex is, aside from being able to land on the external front platforms and then walk in through the airlocks and then take the tunnels up to the station proper, there are two side entrances into Grimhex. One of them, well, there are just two of them, and they're both old derelict where I guess the station was blown apart or damaged. So one of them is a really long tunnel that's kind of narrow and has a whole lot of debris floating, and it's actually out on the sun side, so you can see it really easily because it's just to the side of the station where you would make your most obvious approach to land. If you get down in there, you can actually EVA in, and then you can EVA and then access the station and get right in. So that's kind of an interesting part, but it's not super long. Now, on the flip side of the station, in the dark, you have to actually have your ship's lights on and be, floating around the station, around the asteroid, at a pretty slow speed. You can actually find what looks like an old landing port that's been all banged up, destroyed, smashed, and I parked my ship next to it, EVA'd out. I didn't even know that it actually went into the station, and I got in and I'm floating down, and you EVA in, and now you're inside of what I guess used to be an entirely enclosed section with habitation units on different deck levels, a dilapidated elevator that no longer works, and you're EVAing up this elevator. So the orientation that you choose. Did you ever read Ender's Game, or watch the movie?
Unfortunately, I haven't. That's the next one on my list. I know I got some catching up to do.
Yes.
But
Well, in Ender's Game, they had this zero-G combat arena, and they had different objects that simulated asteroids that were positioned around it that they used for cover, and they basically did squad-on-squad tactics. And your enemy's gate that you had to get one of your people through in order to win the match or kill all of your enemy. You kill them all or get one person through the gate was on the far end, and yours was on your end. So the thing is their thing was in order to orient yourself in space, you always looked at your enemy's gate is down because you would fire through anyway. But basically the thing is what's really interesting about that play space is when people start their FPS, there's no gravity, so you have to get accustomed to your body's position. You have to get you got to get accustomed to how you orient yourself. So you might be orienting yourself like, oh, the floor is behind me and I'm laying on my back shooting up, or you could think that your back is to the wall and you're just flying forward. So
given that I'm flying around in space and shooting shotguns, one of the things that I would actually like to see, and I haven't really ever noticed it before if it's there, so please clue me in if it is, but if I shoot a shotgun, can I spin backwards by accident? Just a fun thought. The gravity, the force, the inertia of the shotgun blast actually pushing on me and making me fly backward.
I think originally they said that they weren't going to include the kick physics, but I don't know.
That'd be funny.
That would be very interesting during the FPS battles.
Could you imagine I would
love to see that.
Well, I'm out of jet fuel. What do you got? Bullets? Use them. I could totally see that. Just riddle the whole station to holes. But you finally got there.
EVA home.
Yeah, really.
One of the gents in our Twitch chat was saying that on the tour. So I'm assuming he's talking about the Germany tour. They showed off two Idrises fighting.
What the hell? Damn it, Bobby.
Bobby, tell us more. Well, let me see what tour he's talking about. Huh. Yeah, no, because right now one of the issues is we can't have more than a couple of handful of players on a server. So how are you going to manage? Oh, very nice. On the tour of the LA office. Okay. So
well, good for you. I'm jealous.
No, that's badass. I have not been to the LA office. I've been to Santa Monica, but now that they moved to this new station, this new place, I haven't doing that. I think that's Joe Ile. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but anyhow, yeah, no, that's mind blowing. I cannot believe that. I'm surprised I'll even let you talk about it. I know. When I went to the Austin tour, we had to sign some NDAs. But mainly the reason they didn't want us talking about what we saw then was because we were the first 10 people to see the planetary landing and the procedural generation, and we were blown away. We actually got to see some stuff there that they didn't even show when they finally did release it. So I can only imagine two Idrises duking it out. I can't even. I can only odd.
It's awe-inspiring just to even think about it. I'm so excited to see the capital ship warfare.
Didn't they say something along the lines that the Bengal's main weapon underneath it is the size of an Idris itself? I mean,
yeah,
I got to looking at.
I think that was. All right, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I think that was in the not the last ATV, but the one before it, and they did say that.
Yeah, it was ATV number 2 with I think
100.2.
Yeah, of the 100s. It was episode 2.
I mean, I got to looking for that bad boy, and yeah, sure enough, it's there. It is friggin' huge. That's the gun. I mean, what are you gonna load it with? Freelancers?
It shoots an Idris.
God bless.
It shoots a stream of auroras.
And whenever they're just, want to get rid of a lot of people, it shoots a bus. There it goes.
Well, they did say we were gonna, we crowdfunded a public transportation system, so it's just
God bless.
It's
That's
like
a horrible one.
A railgun launcher,
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So like, hey, we need to get there quick. How fast can you take us? Well, we can go to Quantum Drive and then we can shoot.
Yeah.
What?
The Metro railgun.
Yeah.
So I will say this: when they do release 2.5 to live, if they may or may not have fixed the bug by that time, it's hard to say. But currently, if you have a weapon drawn, because outside there's no armistice zone, when you step inside the airlock to cycle to the inside where it is an armistice zone, you're supposed to put away your weapon. But unfortunately, it doesn't automatically put it away for you. So if you fail to remember to put away your weapon and you cycle the airlock to inside, you go into a T-pose. So, but the good thing is technically you can just recycle the airlock again, draw your weapon, manually put it away, cycle the airlock, and you're good to go. So, at least
I think it would be a lot
around.
funnier if they could just shoot you with an auto turret.
Well, they've talked about that being the case. Like right now, it's just the magic no weapons firing inside. But I think once they get subsumption and they've got AI in there, it's going to be a matter of you pull out a weapon in public and every NPC is going to be like, oh my god, we got a live active shooter, shoot him.
Yeah, basically.
So
yeah, and at Grim Hex, they'll put you down quick.
Yeah, I imagine so. But
that would just be. That's the thing, to rein in the criminals, you have to be a bigger criminal. So I imagine quick wouldn't be the word.
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm actually showing in the background video we got playing right now. I'm in a Reliant, and I'm flying through the long way through Yella looking for Grimhex, and I hadn't found it yet. And I actually had a second crew person, so this is my first time trying to find it. And I actually think I'm coming up on it now, so that's kind of cool.
Yep. Don't worry, guys. He does do the pirate form. He does kill the other crew member.
No, I'm not a pirate yet. Not this time around. I usually don't test the outlaw mechanics until I've had a chance to go through and test all the UEE stuff. So, plus it's easier that way. Then you make all your money. So if you have to, be able to field repairs and such. That's the thing that's missing is Grimhex doesn't have a repair facility. So if you're a pirate, you're still screwed on getting repairs. For all the complaining about people wrecking the testing experience by PvPing, it's like, well, how is that fair? Because people want to test the PvP gameplay as well. It's not just about testing whether, I don't know. Plus,
that brings up an interesting question, though. What would an outlaw gas station sound like? I mean, what would that be like? Would that be like a? That'd be like a Love's truck stop or something. I mean, this is gonna shoot me right now.
It'd be Buck Evils.
Oh boy, now I'm thinking of like that. What's that one game? Like Castle Doom Doom Shekels.
Oh god.
Yeah, they're good.
Dude, Bucky's is crazy, man. They've got to be evil. They're way too put together.
Damn.
It'd be like the little diner in Spaceballs at the end of it.
There you go.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Oh yeah, so we're flying up on Grimhex
now I've got that
in the
stuck in my
background,
head.
and you can actually see the back side of the base has the asteroid hollowed out, and it has places to land your ships. I thought that was going to be in 2.5, but apparently it is not. They do not have the automated they have the new automated landing system and the new where you can toggle your landing gear on and off, and that's fantastic. It is amazing. But the docking with a landing bay that then lets you leave your ship stored so that you can then move into Grimhex without leaving your ship, vulnerable out on the landing pads, that has not happened yet. So I did mess with it though. I got some video later on of inspecting those landing ports with spotlights. So
So how is it different from before, like the landing wise? How's the
uh,
landing gear deployment different and all that?
well, it feels right that you control the landing gear up or down. Like I don't know how to describe it. I manually land everywhere because like you and I have flown together and like I fly decoupled. So for me, it's easy to land because I just I feather it in and I just glide in. That's what's really great about decoupled is whereas if you're trying to land while you're coupled, it's all these short little bursts of movement and you're trying not to like hit the ground too hard. But when with decoupled, once you get lined up, you just tap it and let yourself drift in nice and slow and smooth. Um,
Sorry.
I don't know what that was, but
You tap it and let it drift on in, nice and slow and smooth.
yeah, baby, yeah.
There you go.
But so the new mode, like you basically when you take off, you have to raise your landing gear, and that lets you switch out of precision mode. Um, I actually probably need to go through because I reloaded my old flight profile, so I probably need to go in and check all the key bindings because what used to initiate landing for me, whatever button I had it assigned to is working for toggling my landing gear up and down, or switching my flight mode in the case of the Reliant. But the other two that used to switch to auto land and find target, I don't think those are set right because I haven't actually gotten it to work with the auto land. Currently, if you hold down the N button, that's what'll tell it to take control and auto land your ship.
So, what about I remember hearing somebody like Geo, I want to say, talk about the Argo flying.
Oh yeah, it's sexy. There's two of them too.
Is it flying though right now?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's flying. I've got some video of that too. Actually, it was at the very beginning of this video. Um, I mean, I could restart it, but then we'd miss out on the good stuff.
Now, does it handle better than the Reliant? Because I heard the Reliant's in pretty bad shape right now.
You know what's funny? Okay, so the Reliant, when it's in its flight mode, it's vertical, right? But its two big engines are horizontal. So let's think about that. If you were going to turn a ship that was a long stick standing up, which way do you think it would yaw quicker, or do you think it would pitch quicker? It would yaw because it's a shorter distance, so it should be able to spin on a top really easily. Whereas pitching requires it to move those really the wings that are way out at the ends, move those all the way around. So it should when it's in its combat flight mode pitch like crap and yaw super great, but it does not. It does exactly the opposite of that right now. So,
well, actually,
I don't know.
Wouldn't the thrusters at the end of the wings actually have greater leverage? So, like a thruster, like a size 2 thruster at the end of a wingtip, have like
they're not its main thrusters though. Those are MAV thrusters as opposed to the two big, I know what
you're saying there.
I think I'm right, but I'm not a physicist, so who knows. But,
oh boy.
Yeah. We're landing right now in the video. Ooh. Boop.
All right. So, okay. So, if just a random toss in the dark question, do you want to do FPS more or do you want to do ship combat more? If you had to choose between the two.
For me, it's not necessarily one or the other. What I really am excited to see is the disabling of the ships, followed by the boarding and the FPS.
Yeah.
Is that a fair answer?
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the boarding mechanics and just like, taking the engines out and then climbing into the Starfare or whatever and, having to peek around all the corners and hope that, you can get the drop on the crew. That's just that gets me really excited.
Well, when you say disabled, are we talking about just trying to blow up a certain section of a ship using ballistics or laser rounds? Or are you talking about distortion cannons and EMP? Which side of that fence are you wanting to hop in? Do you really care how basically what I'm getting at is are you going to try to sell said ship and want it as the least damage as possible, or are you just trying to board that sucker and loot the crew?
That really depends on the situation. Depends on what ship I'm in and what my goals are. I I intend on trying a bit of everything in the universe, and
Yeah.
once I find my niche, then I'll keep to that for the most part. But I want to
Play
get
around.
the full experience out of it.
What do you think as far as like I remember originally they had talked about disabling ships in order to capture them or board them was going to be super risky, super dangerous, and very difficult. But as we've been playing Star Citizen and as the flight model and the combat mechanics have expanded, time to kill and all of that stuff, as well as like it's hard to just hit a ship to shoot them down, much less hit some subsystem. Whereas if you were playing an older video game like Wing Commander or Free Space, you would select, a subsystem and your computer would automatically only do damage to that part when you shot at the ship. How do you think Star Citizen is going to handle those mechanics?
Targeting computer.
You think so? You think they'll
I'm
they'll,
thinking
they'll go
that
that
will
same
be
way?
that'll be an attachment, basically a targeting computer, a greater targeting computer, more the higher cost, more fidelity, basically.
So you think it'll basically just make all damage you do not count
Percentage
unless it hits
percentage
that
of
specific
error.
thing?
Percentage of error. Basically, I'm going to try to shoot for the engine, but it's going to target the engine just fine. But if the engine's on the other side of the ship and you shoot, you're still going to be hitting the main sort of the ship. And
Huh.
there's a cone of fire, and so even if you're shooting directly at the engine, it still might actually have a probability of hitting some other system by accident.
I wonder how they would balance a targeting computer though,
Yeah. See,
because that's
Um,
that's a
Power,
slippery slope right there.
I don't
power.
know. I feel like using the targeting computer is like we have a game where the bullets go where they're aimed, regardless of where your cursor is
Well,
pointing. They go where the gun is aimed, so it's actually physically calculated. It's the same thing with ships and all of that.
I,
I mean,
I don't think that
unless they have something that does auto aim for you and actually
nah.
magics it up, it's on us to be that skillful, and I just don't see that we can have that kind of precision, except for
I
maybe on
think
the
that the
large ships.
Well, what I'm referencing though is like a targeting computer isn't really still going to help you that much because if you just have a default targeting computer like what we've currently got right now, it's going to target the whole ship. Well, by having an upgraded targeting computer, yeah, your HUD is only going to indicate this is where you need to shoot at to hit this engine. You still need to have the skill to hit said engine. Is
I
what I was
see
trying to
what
say
you mean.
earlier. You
That seems
still
a lot more reasonable. I thought you
Yeah.
were talking
not an
like the
automated
gimbals
system. No,
Right,
no.
right,
in Elite or
right. Where
something
they
like
where they
that.
auto track in, yeah.
No, it's you still have to be able to hit said
So
system,
I
but the
just don't.
targeting
I
computer
don't see that
allows you to
as
have more fidelity.
how are you going to do that against you know like the small tiny little engines on an M50 or something like that.
Well,
I don't.
that's where the higher grade of computer goes in. Like say the targeted computer,
I mean, it can select it for
the
you, but it's not
lowest
going to
grade,
change. It's not going to change the fact that that hitbox is a tiny little
incredibly
component
tight. Yeah,
on
and that's where skill comes in. Whereas opposed
uh,
to if I'm shooting a Starfarer, for example, it's going to be pretty easy to hit said engines. It's going to be easy
possibly.
to take out, turret.
Well,
So that
someone in chat
easier.
also mentioned like EMPs, and I think there are going to be other tools in the kit to do that kind of work. And I think that for the small ships, you probably will have to use some kind of EMP blast to temporarily concuss them with like an Avenger or something. Because on the bigger ships, you will be able to use a targeted computer and hitting the engines on a Starfarer. While it might be hard, it's still going to be miles easier than trying to hit the
Right.
engines on an M50. And also, you need to watch the video for the next like 2 minutes. I,
Man, you know what happens to my bandwidth if I try to do that stuff. I'll
what?
watch the video later.
Okay, you do that, but
I'm
this
sorry.
Is great. Do you want
I'm
me to
sorry.
describe it to you? I'm shooting at somebody.
You know, how about you just get me a box, okay, Legolas?
All right, just watch that. This is for the viewers who are watching this right now. So, because they're like, that's mean. You parked in that parking space all by yourself. So here I am, upside down, murdering somebody through an airlock.
Yeah, you're not a pirate yet. No, you're testing all the UEE stuff. You're functioning as UEE right now, right? You're killing the bad guys, right? Okay, good job, Tex.
Hey, he was looking aggressive.
Oh, he gave you a look, huh?
He did.
Yeah.
He was sneaking
Through
around
his glass shimmering helmet. Yeah,
he was sneaking around out in the asteroids with his gun out. He was up to no good.
And you could see his eyebrows.
Yes, because I was sneaking around. Because I was sneaking around out in the asteroids, up to no good.
You know, not everything is a big Benny's commercial with giant eyebrows over top of a noodle bowl. You see eyebrows indicated outside of the space helmet.
See, I'm nice because look, here's the next thing. Look, there's another guy. Oh, I could have killed him. I've got him in my sights. Nope, I backed off. Waited to see if he would shoot. He didn't shoot. Okay, all right. Getting ready just in case. Going for cover. Oh yeah. Nope. Hey, still not there. All right, cool.
So. Well, we're talking about all the stuff that he's doing inside of a video game that he just played like maybe 2 or 3 hours ago.
They changed all the explosions too. You know those big beautiful explosions that we had before, which
piss me off, aren't you?
Oh, I loved them.
You're gonna piss me off, aren't you?
They changed them.
Are they bigger and more beautiful?
They are not bigger, but they probably are more realistic. They have like a 2-stage pop explosion really fast, and it just, oh man, it sounds good and it looks good, and the ships break apart into multiple pieces and are flung in the direction that they were traveling.
You know,
it's
my
really
Cutlass
nice.
used to do that plenty of times.
Well, you don't actually have to be shot at your Cutlass for your Cutlass to fall apart and do that.
Wow.
Actually, I'm super sad because I tested the flash fire mount in the Cutlass today in 2.5 and I couldn't even mount it, so they disabled the flash fire for it. So I'm pissed because they have the M7A, the size 5 cannon. I want to put that on there so bad.
I'm just saying, could you plug that on a Super Hornet?
No, the Super Hornet takes a size 4 maximum. The
The
flash fire, like that was if you looked at the original sizing of the mounts for the Super Hornet and
that'd be crazy.
And the Cutlass was getting screwed because the flash fire mount gave it a weapon that was one size smaller than it was supposed to be for max size. And they had said that that's because it was supposed to be gimbaled, but it wasn't gimbaled. And then eventually, I guess they fixed it. I don't know. They've had problems with the Cutlass. The Cutlass is going to get a rework, so they don't care about it right now. And I understand.
They're still reworking it. I think I've seen some. Yeah. Didn't they have some sort of views on what it looked like, the new and improved?
No, there's been no release of.
I know they've got the new and improved Caterpillar, so I knew that was out there, but I didn't know.
Well, they're working on the Cat and they're working on the Herald, but there's no Cutlass yet. So sad.
Yep, Drake's getting some love right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
you said Herald, man. I want to cry again.
Soon.
Well, you know what is cool though is the turret on the Cutlass now holds 2 size 3s. That's pretty fucking nuts. I mean, what that says to me is, can you imagine if the Retaliator has size 3s on all of its turrets?
Then that'd actually be scary.
It might actually be scary because then you'd have 10 size 3s.
That could focus fire and keep... Oh, wait, these are people we're talking about. Never mind, they can't focus fire.
Well, I mean, when the turret mechanics get improved, maybe we'll see. But, you know. Anyways.
Soon, TM.
Well, that's the thing about the Retaliator. It's such a beautiful, wonderful ship, and it just needs to be scary upon approach. I mean, after it drops its cargo, you know, it's kind of, you know, at this point, lackluster. So, honestly, I hope they put like size 3s or size 4s on there. Dare I say size 4?
No, not size 4s. But
yeah,
the problem with the torpedoes is people get mad because they don't perform well against the ships that are in the verse right now. But the thing is, the ships in the verse right now torpedoes shouldn't even be able to hit. Torpedoes should be slow to
Right.
fire, slow to
Right.
accelerate, slow to maneuver. But
I
then when
know.
they hit, they just, devastate. And against a small ship's just not going to be able to get hit by them. So,
I know.
Now, I haven't tried it, but can the torpedoes hit the Starfare?
actually, somebody was talking about that in chat today, and it made me. It reminded me of the fact that I have not tested that. That needs to happen. So, gentlemen, we have a mission. So
If I
apparently they hit they hit it like a Mack truck. So I'm curious to see. I still think that
that would be
torpedoes
some
and capital gameplay
Fun
though.
footage.
Yeah,
I just want to be on the Starfare when that happens. I want to see the internal damage states.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all seen that Idris internal damage state.
Oh
right?
yeah, that was wonderful. But
They're talking about that's going to be in all of the ships. That is going to be, oh my god, so
yes.
amazing.
I have no words for that. It was
amaze balls.
just amazeballs.
I think I broke my pants actually.
No, the funny thing about it though is that somebody was put right as soon as that popped up. Somebody on the forum actually kind of, if the person that's listening on the forum, please don't mind me. I'm just nerd raging. But the point of it is that the guy was saying, like the damn crash mechanics are broken. Basically saying that there shouldn't be water sprinkler systems inside of spaceships. That was his argument. That was his entire argument. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, well, considering oxygen is a valuable commodity,
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fire.
Well, their argument was
fires.
their argument was that venting it out into space would be a better solution than actually using a fire sprinkler.
I imagine it. Yeah, it probably depends on what kind of fires you have. Yeah.
Right. If for everything's going to have a backup plan. If you're on a military style ship, there's always going to be a plan A, B, and C. So a sprinkler system makes sense. And then after a sprinkler system, maybe then a closing the doors and airtight compartments, and then like vacating whatever's in there. But
Right.
sprinkler system first. Try to put it out every way you can, and then. But he was saying that it was already trash because he disagreed that sprinkler systems should be on spaceships. And I'm thinking, like, you're wrong, because water's a lot cheaper than oxygen when you don't have either.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Plus that fire is going to eat up your oxygen.
Right.
Real quick.
I mean, just like sprinkler system that missed.
I think he made sense. I think his point wasn't necessarily that was wrong. It was just that fire suppression on a ship that has enclosed space, be it a submarine or a starcraft, is going to be super, super well handled, and that water is kind of a more archaic and, I guess, basically what we're fed to think would be the solution via the media, but it's not necessarily accurate to the real world. And that could be very, very true. I just passed what the fuckosaurus on in Grimhex. Anyways.
Wow. You could have shot him then,
No, we were inside. And I've done that before.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Well, he's killed me too. It happens. We play a lot.
Double shots fired. Okay, cool.
No, he's a good pilot, man. I remember I was racing once, and I just couldn't catch him, man. He was right in front of me, and he just I would get caught up, and he would just catch some. Like, I could tell he'd been practicing, and he'd put his time in because he had that course really well down. So I'm a good pilot, but like anything, if you don't fly the race courses all the time, when you come back to them, even if you're good, you're going to be sloppy. And he had been Johnny on the spot right then. So, but that's okay. I've killed him other places.
So when you get a chance and we get grenade mechanics in, I want you to chunk a grenade down the debris field in Grimhex so that you can just throw all the crap everywhere.
Actually, that'd be really cool. I hope that
I hope that it works like that.
Will yeah. It'd be interesting if that same debris could also tumble into you and cause damage.
Kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing like a giant big binge machine hurtling towards your death.
So I got a question, Jacob. You have ships that are cargo oriented, right? In your ship list, I was like, oh, he's got a pretty broad selection, right? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I'd say I have a good amount of ships. Although one caveat, I have a freelancer,
Uh-huh.
but the reason I have that is because that's my first of all, that's my package. And
That's what she said.
Yeah.
ha ha ha.
You got
Anyways,
a
I
real.
have this freelancer because it used to be a Hornet, but
Uh-huh.
then I got the Prospector, so I get a loaner Hornet.
Nice.
And I don't want two Hornets, so I just switch it to a freelancer for no monies.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't intend on having that. At least I don't think. I want to possibly upgrade it to a fighter ship or something. I'm not sure what yet.
Saber.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Saber's pretty mainstream.
I know.
It won't be for a while.
How much does that suck? Like I used to. The reason I didn't fly Hornets was because I was like, well, everybody else fly the Hornet. I gotta fly something else. And
Everybody
so
jumped on the.
I'd fly the 350R in a combat loadout, and then when they changed the damage model, I went over to the Gladius, and then when they announced the Saber, I was like, "This is going to be my perfect ship. It's fast like the Saber. It's going to be a little bit beefier. It's got 4 size 3 fix.
It's everywhere.
Amazing." And now it's like that is the ship everybody flies, but
It's everywhere.
no. So
I'm hoping they fix the Cartual in the way that you have spoken to me about before. Making it so it breaks as quickly, or at least almost as quickly as it accelerates. Because if they do that, then I think I'll definitely be upgrading something to that.
Right.
I still love the amount of strafe that it had. If you remember that video of me dancing around the asteroids, that was really, really fun.
Yeah, it's a fun ship to fly. Now, so the reason I'd asked that question is what do you think now that the Reliant is out? So the Reliant, the Reliant core with its cargo space and its weapon mounts, you can switch out the two ends with 2 size 3 cannons. That's the same as the Cartual. And then it also has 2 size 1 hardpoints. It doesn't come stock with any missiles. I don't even know that it has a missile bay. So that's it, just guns, right? Just guns. 2 size 3, 2 size 1s. And its maneuverability, it can carry a second person, but technically, if you're looking at an Avenger, you could have somebody in the bed while somebody's in the pilot seat, and you would still have room for cargo. Now,
and hey, then y'all can hot bunk and y'all can go all the way to California. Wait a minute, wrong game.
The difference being that the 2 size 3s and a 2 size 1s technically sort of outgun the Avenger, but the Avenger's got more flexibility. I don't know. Like, what do you think? What for a starter ship? Which do you think is going to be is going to win out?
Oh man, win out is
I know
something that's hard to discuss in a game like this.
Well, I mean, but, what would be your choice and why?
For me, I would go with the Reliant because I like that vertical flight model. It's got a small profile. It's pretty prickly.
Well, the Avenger's got a really small flight profile too, and it's because it's compact. You don't have to worry about wings getting blown off. Like the Avenger takes damage and it still keeps its weapons. You get hit in the wing.
That's true. Yeah. I also.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's that too. It is cheaper, and also the Reliant isn't a Penguin.
Wait, the Reliant is cheaper? It's not cheaper. It's like 65. Nope. Isn't they? Aren't they both 65 now?
I think the core is 50, wasn't it? Or 55 or something like that. I don't know.
I'm referencing like cost to repair the ship. The Avenger's been around for ages.
Oh, you think it'll be cheaper to repair?
Yes, I think it'll be cheaper to repair and maintain.
Well, I know that this question had come up on the forums because they were like, "Oh, will the Reliant potentially dethrone the Avenger as like the best balanced starter ship?" And and honestly, I can see why, because it's got 2 size 3s. 2 size 3s trump 3 size 2s.
Well,
and then it has 2 size 1s. But here's where I think that doesn't quite. Here's where I think the Reliant is weak. I think those wings as cool as the flight mode is, it's harder to fit through small spaces because you got to account for that more. Now, and that's fine if you're in open space. That shouldn't matter. But if you get a wing blown off, you lose a size 3 and a size 1. It's huge, and it completely imbalances your ship. Whereas the Avenger, man, you can take damage on the Avenger, and that thing it's the little engine that could. I mean, it's better than like the Gladius. The Gladius, you get shot and a wing falls off and you're done. You lose balance. You lose a weapon system. But the Avenger, it's hard to knock those weapons off, and you can fit gimbals if you want.
Well,
technically, you could even fit a size 3 on the nose if you could, switch out that whatchamacallit. But
so if only just okay. So to try and actually defend the Avenger a little bit better.
And it has missiles.
Well, not just that. The reason why I personally selected the Avenger as my second ship in the beginning of me getting into this game, I did not know this at the time, but my validity stands to reason. They can be kitted. Now I know that the core can probably be made into the Mako. It could probably be made into the skirmishers. I understand that it can probably be made into those, but I'm thinking that the gameplay versatility, I can be a cargo guy, I can be a bounty hunter guy, and I can be a special warfare EMP stun locking guy.
All from the same frame.
All from one chassis. And that's what I like about that is there's no.
Who says you can't do that with the Reliance?
I don't know that you can do EMP or bounty hunting specifically.
Oh,
but
those roles. Okay, sure.
But at the same time, though, what I'm looking at is that you might be able to do that with those, but they've already stated that the Avenger is going to be able to be swappable among roles. That, if you wanted to use a Titan one day and then you needed to go to a Warlock, well, then it's just a matter of getting the kit, and bam, you're there. Whereas you might have to go out and buy specialized parts to actually turn a core into the news van.
Yeah, I think they had said that actually might be a problem because I think the core, the way the space is laid out, maybe. I mean, maybe it'll end up being like a Battlefield upgrade kit. But then again, the way Ben described the Battlefield upgrade kit is those are kind of like a package of parts. And that's no different than, say, if you bought a package of parts that might let you re-equip a 300 series to a 325 Alpha.
Right. It's still my BOK is my Warden's still a Warden, even though I've decked it out with Sentinel stuff.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know. I like both ships. They both have a very different aesthetic, and it's true. A lot of people do not like the Penguin.
I love that damn thing. I'm sorry.
Well,
I want to bring one thing up real quick. It's off topic, but
is there such a thing?
Well, you mentioned getting your wings blown off in the Reliant, and that immediately made me think of the Buccaneer, because the Buccaneer has 4 guns on each of the wings, and the wings look paper thin.
That's
and I
true.
love the look of it, but gosh, I just feel like those wings are going to be flimsy as ever.
It's going to fall apart when it takes a...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's made to have heavier firepower, or firepower on par with like a Super Hornet, for a ship that's a fraction of the, cost, and a fraction... Like, it's... Basically, it just sounds better in all ways, and it's got to have an Achilles tendon. It's got to balance out. So I think the way that's going to balance out is that it's going to, it's just going to have no armor whatsoever. It's like, yeah, you can throw a lot of weapons on there, but if you get hit once, you're burning up. You got no ejection seat, and your ship just doesn't have the staying power to handle a sustained fight. So, it can do its burst damage, but it cannot stay the long haul. So.
Well, that's the intent of it, though, is that a lot of these ships are pirate ships, so they're not intended to be heavy defenders.
Right,
defending is not defending isn't the nature. The same thing about defending is kind of like the Soviets in World War II. They weren't intended to defend; they were going to be
Mother
offensive.
Russia, we do not defend.
Yeah, they didn't at that first part of that.
Listen here,
Yeah.
American pig dog.
Hey, you get it right. It's dog pig.
It's cat dog.
Oh, that guy. Ugh.
Oh God.
I need alcohol.
So speaking of which, the video just shifted over. So if you're curious about how the quickest way to get to Grimhex, if you want to know the spoiler for not having to manually find it, you can watch.
This is how we lose people.
Just don't watch the video if you don't want the spoiler, man.
Wow.
Just listen with your earballs.
Man. Yeah, anyway, okay, yeah. So,
Well,
so
I had to
okay.
bring it up because I want them to either know to pay attention if they're looking for the information, or know not to watch if they want to do the exploration the first time themselves.
So what's the deal with the lighting on the ICC missions?
Gorgeous. It's not just ICC. It's on ArtCorp. Like there's a side by side on the Facebook group that we posted that pulled from Reddit.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And it's immense. Like the coloration is different, the saturation is different, they've done more buildings in the background, and you've got more volumetric fog and coloration, so the city just feels bigger. You can see the moons, Crusaders' moons in the sky, which is
nice.
awesome. And those are all nice touches, and those come from the overall. Like this goes back to our earlier conversation, where it may not be something that's super. Oh, it's a new ship, or it's a million kinds of gameplay content, but it's something that's going to improve the game overall. Because at the end of the day, ArtCorp is a throwaway thing, because they're, well, not throwaway, but those assets are going to have to get completely rebuilt into the procedural world, and so right now, but that's what I mean. Like, but those improvements that they did in that are something that improve the rest of the game. So flying through the ICC missions, like the cloud cover or the dust clouds around the asteroids in ICC mission 1, it's really apparent. You can it's layered so that it's like you're looking through a fog. You almost can't see those asteroids at the back because there's enough volumetric dust coverage. When you're walking around.
Now, do you know if the Broken Moon map got the lighting pass?
Ooh,
too?
I don't.
Because
I haven't tried.
Oh my god, that glare gets so bad.
Actually, speaking of glare, whatever they did, they've changed some things. So now, when you turn, if a sun is shining off of a reflecting surface, it will knock you out. Like the reflection is brighter than the actual source. Like you look at the sun, it's like a white ball of fire in the sky. You turn and it hits one of the solar array, and you're like, what the?
Wow.
That's alpha for you.
That's alpha.
That sounds like a fun, great game mechanic. Wouldn't that actually be some sort of auto tint to that?
Maybe in time. I know. That's yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what they have on like jets and stuff. Is like glass just like gets darker, if it's facing towards the sun or something.
Right.
But so this is one of those weird kind of theory craft questions that I like throwing out from time to time.
Uh-huh.
So Jacob, here's a question. I've always been intrigued by the center of gas giants. I don't know why. It's just something that's a nerdism of me. So how do you think CIG is going to explain or handle that? Are we just going to blow up if we approach the center of a gas giant? Or are we actually going to... Would we? I mean, that's the thing. Density is the thought there. I mean, like if the gas giant is made out of helium or something lighter, dare I say hydrogen, don't light a match.
Well, yeah, but the thing is as you approach the center, it's going to get denser, and as it gets denser, it's going to get hotter, and to the point where the density is enough to crush you.
Well, the center of Jupiter, actually, they theorized that it's liquid methane, that it's so cold that it's no longer a gas.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So like it basically is so far out and so cold that you're able to actually see oceans of what normally would be a very highly volatile gas, oceans of it.
But I bet that if you were to penetrate that liquid and go deep enough, it would still crush your hull.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me there. That would explain that. But
I mean, it's easier for mankind to travel in outer space or in space than it is to travel at the greatest depths of the ocean because of pressure and nitrogen and how gas law works versus
it's
the
really
structural
easy
strength that it takes to fight off vacuum and to defend against radiation is easier to achieve for us than that's why, like, back when we saw the Star Trek movie where the
it's a
ship
heck
was
of a lot
underwater, I
cheaper
was
though.
like,
You just get a
"What?"
giant sinker and drop them. And what is the largest, the deepest trench in the world is like the
Marianas
Challenger
Trench.
Deep, the Challenger Deep and the Marianas Trench, and it basically the guy went down there the first time and he watched as the glass cracked, and you're in a pressure thing that you would be instantaneously dead. You wouldn't even. So he's sitting there watching the glass crack on this 9-inch thick window. It's like cause for concern. But yeah.
Well,
Yeah, so
going back to the gas giants though,
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to see some like I guess pseudo colonies where they have like a floating station that's somehow like suspended by gravity or whatever. I don't know the science.
Isn't Crusader a gas giant?
Hey guys.
Yeah,
check out.
I think it would be really cool to see that sort of stuff.
The spoiler of how to get to Grimhex is already over, but definitely watch the video here because the part where I was talking about where you can sneak in through the side, that's coming up, and it's really cool. So check out, it's just out of nowhere, this side entrance built into the shadowy area.
And if you don't want to discover it, or you want to discover it yourself, then don't watch.
Don't listen to anything. Don't log online.
Wow.
Well, it's not really a secret because if you go inside of Grimhex, you can find the passages that lead out to it, and then you can just reverse your way out. It was just interesting because I hadn't explored on the inside, so I, found it on the outside. But, anyways.
Yay!
God damn it! Don't make me feel guilty for sharing content.
I'm not going to make you feel guilty for sharing content. I'm going to make you feel guilty for exposing content.
But I'm such. Oh, actually, I take it back. I'm actually not even showing that part. I'm just taking a closer look at the entrance, the docking bays that are supposed to be working in the back. I'm surprised they're not. I thought they said that was going to be in, but I guess they had issues with it, so I guess not.
Please don't expose your contents on the stream.
Yes, keep them to yourself, it says.
Just keep your pants on, Trez.
I know.
Chock loaded with content.
2.5, pants free.
Good God, here we go. Somebody had to say it.
Yeah, let's see. And of course, you have the people who are doing the pirate cheese where they just run someone over, get a criminal level, and then suicide, so they spawn at Grimhex,
But
I highly do not recommend that because it is really fun to fly out and find it, and it is it's a mission.
Not Portal.
Couldn't you just as easily jump to a comma ray, turn it off, and then destroy yourself?
Yeah. You do that too. Scrubs. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I'm just wanting to actually go and fly the Argo. I just want to try out the space forklift for a week or so.
They handle pretty nice.
Doesn't it handle better than the Reliant for now?
It kind of does. Yeah, you know what's funny is they've changed all the maneuvering thrusters have this really deep rumble, so they're like it's super intense sound. I was like, wow, that's a hell of a thrust sound for the Argo, because it was the first ship I tried when I got into 2.5, and then I got in the Reliant. It was the same thing. It's kind of uncharacteristic, so I feel like that's going to get changed to, different ships are going to have their own signature sounds, but they did do some overhauling on the sounds too.
Who makes the Argo?
Argo makes the Argo.
You gotta be kidding me. You don't know?
Argo is the name of the company. It's like calling it RSI. The RSI.
So what is the name of the little ship then? The Argo Cargo?
Yeah, but we call that the Argo C for cargo, and we call it the Argo P for passenger.
Peoples.
Pargo. We call it the cargo and the pargo.
So the name of the ships are essentially the C and the P.
No, I'm making that shit up. I'm just gonna put that out there. That was me bullshitting, but
that is
just got an LTIC.
Yeah, man, we'll check out this LTIP.
We'll watch the video. Now we're penetrating the base. Don't you want to watch the penetration?
Some odd reason, I think you got a commercial in your videos and you're just waiting to watch the video. The infomercial of doom is approaching.
No, this is all right. This is the part I was telling you about where you kind of went into this area and it's a large vertical shaft and habitation floors and why do you gotta be dirty? Why do you gotta be dirty? Huh,
I gotta be dirty. I'm sorry. I'm the dirty pirate.
That's why you want to drive the cargo.
Into your pargo.
I wonder what, and the next one's supposed to be the repair variant, right? Like search and recovery. The Sargo.
I would name that the UEE Care Bear.
No, it's called the Sargo. Search and recovery. Come on. Pargo, cargo, and Sargo.
Search and rifle through your belongings while I pretend to repair your stuff. Hey, yeah, cool.
Well,
looks like you knew it.
All of them are supposed to get the repair on them, too. That's going to be really interesting. So they'll have to add that on later. But anyway.
It would be funny.
Don't worry about that wing I'm tearing off. I'm repairing you.
Yeah, I'm fixing it and
I'm repairing it off. I mean, ripping you off. I mean, not ripping. I'm fixing it. Shut up. Don't judge me.
That big hole in your hull is very important.
I would want to spoof this. I would want to, like Ben has said for a long time, that he wanted to make a ship, a sniper ship. Somebody needs to go and put a really big sniper rifle on a Argo and send it to Ben so that he finally has a sniper ship.
There needs to be 2 Argos with a gun mounted between them and one
and an Aurora for a clip.
And the one's holding it and the one.
An Aurora for a clip.
Yeah.
Just slide on. So, what kind of bullets do you shoot Aurora LNs? There we go. Oh, he's getting sleepy.
Oh, can't hear that. No, man.
No, it's all that chili.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. I'm gonna go have some more. Yeah, one thing that I noticed is a big change too is the sound. They've set it up how the music would step up and the tempo would turn up when you got into combat. Now it's a lot more dynamic and it's a lot more, I don't know, I don't want to say in your face. I feel like I should have gone through and played with my sound settings because the music was louder than a lot of the background sounds, so it kind of drowned it out. And I think that was just because my old settings overlapped with the new settings, whatever. But it was really interesting. So you get a lot more blood pumping combat music as right before the pirates jump in and talk their smack, and you face wreck them in 2 seconds. And the AI has changed a little bit. I've noticed that all of the pirates are using missiles a lot more, and that missiles still suck. And there's the bug where you have the missile is trying to hit you still. It never
I love that one.
That's always fun.
You're like, is it dead yet? Because I kind of want to get out of my ship, and I'm afraid to.
Yeah, what was it? There was I was going to ask you something, and I can't remember what the hell it was.
No.
Oh, that's right.
I will not take you to prom.
No. You said something about Buddha earlier, and I thought about Paula Deen, but that's not it. No, oh yeah, that was it. God dang it, how did that go? Oh yeah, no, I was just wanting to give a shout out to everybody in Texas. If you happen to be a citizen, Traz likes to feed people chili, so go to his house and eat some chili.
Well, you make a very good point. I've wanted to do meetups and get-togethers and have citizens over and such. And I've done so with a few, but not nearly as many as live out here or as many as I'd like to. I want to do something bigger.
I'm pretty sure there's some that have like that good old boys that like have Star Citizen accounts under their horse's name and stuff. To hide it from their wife.
Hide it
Hi
from
Reagan, how's it going? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
Anybody want a 4-year-old? He's fresh squeezed.
So another thing is bug wise with 2.5 is it definitely like the CIG team was not bullshitting. Like they've added more stuff to the mini universe, and it has impacted frames a bit. But the good news is like if you log in and you have like 10, 12, 15 frames per second, and even though you've got a good system, usually you can log out, log back in. You can even end up in the exact same server, and your frames will improve. So supposedly, I tried it both with no user.cfg file, and then I tried it with my stock user.cfg file, and as much as I was hoping that maybe because they made all these changes to lighting and such that vanilla would be the way to go, it wasn't the case. Hell, turning off motion blur just by itself before I loaded the user.config made a difference of like 5 to 7 frames right on the spot. It was crazy. So if you're using some awesome, amazing user.cfg for your system that you based on like one of Redacted Board Gamers guide, stay with it. I mean, I know that I don't know. I mean, it's always debatable because you could say that like PTU you want to test it in its natural state, but most of the changes that you do with that config file are based around the idea of micro optimizations to CryEngine. So, I mean, anyways, we can test. That's a different kind of testing, I think. But
one thing I've discovered when I log into the universe, and this may be exclusive to me because I now know that my motherboard is faulty, and it actually would throttle down my CPU.
Oh, that's no good.
Down to like, it was down to like, just, it was ridiculously low. Okay. So I found a workaround with that, and it's the little third-party app called Throttle Stop, and I can turn off that little feature. But whenever I log into the universe, I find that it's really buggy.
Okay.
Really buggy. Really just like jumpy, like teleporty and everything. But if I just Alt Tab, go to Throttle Stop and open it, and then just go back to like StarCitizen.exe, then it's totally stable, and I'll play until the server bugs out or whatever, and I won't have any issues on my end.
Wow.
And I have no idea why it's like that, and it may just be some weird correlation that I'm perceiving but isn't actually a thing, but seems like it works for me.
Well, good. I mean, if you've got if you have a known issue with your motherboard, and you've got some third-party software that's gonna get you around it, that's spot on, man. Good job. Like sometimes troubleshooting weird shit like that is just nigh impossible. I actually had problems with when Arena Commander first came out. For like the first 4 months, there was a point where my ticket had gotten pushed up to their like DevOps team, and they were asking me to like send them all kinds of diagnostic files and stuff so they could actually look at it. And God, what was it? God, it's been a while. It was one of those things where like I know my system and I know how to troubleshoot it, and I just forgotten like the most basic of the basics, and it involved like jumping into like config sys and basically turning off all Microsoft, or turning off everything but Microsoft processes, and then restarting it, and then it cleared up all the issues. So then I just went on one by one until I found the thing that was the culprit, and I got rid of it. And so that was fine. But it was like I should know that, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking that I missed it. But But it was months of frustration. I even upgraded my video card because I was like, well, maybe if I just change my video card, even though that doesn't really make sense because I've got good video cards. And anyway.
Yeah, it took me months to sort out, man. It was our Facebook group, the Ready Player One, that helped me get to the bottom of it.
I love those guys.
Yeah, I posted my benchmarks, and it was I forget which benchmark software it was, but it was saying like my system was scoring lower than like a standard office computer.
Oh.
and I have an i5 4690K. I have a GTX 970, and I have 16 gigs of RAM. So I was like,
you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, hey, anyone have any idea what's going on here? And it took a lot of Google foo and some talking with the people in there, but I eventually stumbled upon it was BD Procot. That's what it's called. That was causing it to throttle down. Anyways, back to the task at hand or whatever.
Do you you play any fantasy games, Jacob?
I can tell you I put about 700 some hours into Skyrim. I love fantasy games. I love the Witcher games.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of fantasy too.
Nice.
Like
I've read Wheel of Time, Sword of Truth.
I've read the Sword of Truth.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved The Name of the Wind.
I haven't read that.
Oh, it's really good. Let me think, what else was there that was good? Joe Abercrombie, the Blade itself, that's what it was. That one was good. But anyways, I'm big into fantasy. It's like sci-fi and fantasy. Those are my two guilty pleasures.
What else is there?
Exactly.
Well, I was gonna say, you didn't happen to pick up the what is it, Shroud of the Avatar, back when Chris Roberts was cross promoting it, because it's the guy who did like the original Ultimas. It's his 3D. It's like you can own plots of land, and you can have houses and castles and shit that like are all player owned. And the thing that it had to do with Star Citizen is if you like bought in at a certain level, you got a crossbow in Star Citizen, and then in that game you got like a Vanduul polearm. And so I was curious if either of you fine gentlemen happen to know of that or had been following that, because I know that they had just recently Shroud of the Avatar like went to it's at like the end of its funding or whatever, so they're doing a big push, and they did a cross promotion with Star Citizen again, where people could, if they bought a ship, they would get some extra stuff in that game, and then get whatever.
Crossbow.
I never heard of it actually, to be honest, unfortunately.
Oh man, I have to find a link. It was on Reddit where somebody had a link to the old crossbow, art. So, and it was pretty sexy. So I wasn't sold on it at first, but it grew on me. But
now, are you familiar with Kingdom Come Deliverance?
I watched that, and I almost backed that too, and I probably should have. I think you and I talked about this before too. Like, there's the one where you have like 15 different layers of the clothing you can wear, so you can be really customized and all this other stuff. And I think I missed out on it.
I haven't backed it either, but I've been watching it pretty closely. I'm really interested to see how it turns out, and I love the combat system.
Yeah.
That's the thing that really gets me excited about it.
Right. If you check the Twitch chat, I posted a picture of the crossbows, by the way. Yeah, no, that combat system, like, I think the reason that I was afraid to back it is I'm so used to the fantasy genre having like magic and wizardry and the shit from high fantasy a la Tolkien-esque. But and that game is more historical, isn't it? That's correct, right? Like it's all
all like historically based. It's based off of a real conflict with real people. But it,
and like their quest system was supposed to be really immersive and really dynamic, so that it wasn't just scripted response and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, and it's just it's close to my heart because I love those complex first person combat systems.
Yeah.
My roommate and I,
fuck, now that I want to back it. God damn it. Why would you do
we
this
bought
to me?
sorry. Hey, you could back Mordhau too. That's one. But my roommate and I, we bought practice swords, and we'll every once in a while go and beat the crap out of each other out back. Like we built shields, and we have safety helmets and everything.
Oh my god. So you went like full on SCA style if you're doing like the heavier stuff. I actually I've done LARPing in the past, like live action role play, and I've done everything from homemade padded duct taped, PVC piping to, high dollar like latex molded and, craft painted on uh, not fiberglass core, but like the graphite cores. So you have, and weapons like that. I actually designed the rules around a LARP. So it's one of my pet projects that had kind of gone by the wayside for a while. But I used to run around when I was younger, beating people up. It was great. That's my old man voice. So
Yeah, we wanted to get into LARPing too.
What's that?
I said we want to try out LARPing too, but
nice.
For now it's just the swords we have. They're made of polypropylene, like a heavy plastic.
Yeah.
And they leave some real bruises, man. There was
there's nothing wrong with learning that way because but eventually, like when you go out to the LARPs, because they're a group thing, they have to carry insurance, and because they have to carry insurance, and America is lawsuit happy, they tend to have very strict rules about like safety. But it depends. Like LARPing covers everything from like LARPs that happen at conventions that literally all of their combat conflict is handled via mechanics that are non-actually physical, like paper, rock, scissors even, and they're more storytelling based, all the way up through games that use like padded weapons and they beat the snot out of each other, to games where they use padded weapons but your hits have to be very light, and all the way up to the ones that are like heavy rattan and you're wearing metal armor with padding underneath, because if you actually got hit with the weapons you're hitting each other without armor, you would draw blood or break bones. So there's a whole range of how hardcore you want to go on the physical side of it. I find for myself, because I like to play in games that have a mixture of both sexes, I find that the games that are super physically hardcore tend to be only male only, and that gets a little boring because I like the story and the role play elements, and I like the fantasy element too. So I tend to stick kind of in the middle. I still like the adrenaline rush and the physical combat, but I don't want to give up the super nerdy fantasy parts.
Yeah, I hear you.
But anyhow, so man, so neither one of you guys got the soda crossbow, huh?
I wanted it.
There's some rumor that that's actually getting developed now, and so we're going to actually see that pretty soon finally. So I'm kind of excited because I hadn't thought about it in a year, and I was just reading about it on Reddit, and I was like, I remember when it first came out, I was like, this is going to be the only thing that I don't buy for Star Citizen, because I'd had like everything by then. and then like, months go by, the Kickstarter ends, and then in a binge, I'm like, no, I must have it, and I've been going back and fucking back in the game just so I could have that stupid crossbow. But they had their land choice thing, and I hadn't played this game in like a year, so I was actually playing it yesterday for a couple of hours, and it's interesting. I don't know. I have some things where I'm like, this sucks, but there's some things I'm like, oh, that could be kind of cool. I mean, they're definitely approaching it from a different way, and you gotta, when you have the old visionaries that have done the old games, sometimes what's important to them isn't what we've been spoon-fed via all the more modern games, where it's very polished and very formulaic. So I'm trying to give Shroud of the Avatar a little bit more leeway and a little bit more of a chance, because it's still in development too. I mean, that's like coming to Star Citizen and being like, well, I can't trade things yet, so this game sucks. I don't want to do that to another game. So I'm trying to hold out judgment and just play it. If I don't like it, I'll put it down and I'll come back to it a year later and see how it's come along.
Yeah. With all these Kickstarter games coming out, it's all about patience. But
yeah,
I want, like, every one of them I see, I want them to be successful without the publisher.
Yeah.
I mean,
no kidding.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I backed like Everspace. I backed. There's another one that's like a building, almost like a Space Engineers kind of game. And what was Planet Nomads?
Planet Nomads. I backed that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't even know where the hell I'm gonna have time. I haven't had time to play the other games that I have that are supposedly first rate.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, so there's some community questions floating around if you guys want to dig into those. Justin Bingham says, ruminate on Corvette possibilities and just what an anti-fighter Corvette would consist of. So, who doesn't love the Corvettes?
Ooh.
Nice. I really, really would love to have one. That's the whole thing.
I think it'll be interesting to see the RSI spin on it.
Actually...
I know, I forget who I discussed this with, but I know, or maybe I saw it in a video or something, but someone was discussing it and they were saying that maybe it's gonna resemble the Orion in some ways and have like a similar pulse structure to it. And I think that's... I don't know. I mean, I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
And
well, the Constellation was one of my favorite ships. Is one of my favorite ships still. Specifically because it looks like a spaceship. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know Aegis. I made fun of them for having wings for the last couple of years, and now I have to eat my own words because now wings matter in atmosphere. So, but I don't care. I like RSI because they don't look, I don't know, they don't look so oh, by the way, I'm fighting in the video, so if you want to see the new explosions, Vadron, and cry, just watch, because I just had a really gorgeous one. Anyway, if I don't black out while I'm shooting things, oh yeah, here goes the cutlass. It's gonna get tore up. Watch it pop. It pops in like 2 parts. Oh, that was a little too far away to see that easily. Anyways, this is a whole series of ICC missions, so I'll be fighting a bunch. NPCs only. So the Corvette though, man, like, yeah, I agree. The RSI aesthetic, I mean, I kind of hope it's that weird chunky. I mean, it almost feels Star Trek-ish,
Yeah.
And I'm not even a fan of the Star Trek ships, but still.
Yeah.
It's
with the Constellation, what I love about it is it has that blocky look, but it also looks really streamlined and pretty. At least I think it does. And I like that balance they strike with that. Or it's a tough aesthetic to hit.
Right.
And
did you ever see the old Constellations before they went to the Mark IV?
I probably have. I can't recall the image in my head.
Well, they looked the same, but they didn't have any of the curves. They were a lot more angular. With the Mark IV, they did this thing where they curved a lot of the surfaces and gave it a more soft edge. And I remember when they were talking about it, and I watched and I saw the concepts, I was kind of pissed. I thought it looked like poop. And then when I actually saw the real deal thing and they actually brought it online, I was like, I take it back. So, and that's the thing, is I've had enough of those experiences with CIG that I just rather than bitching about my first impression, I'm like, no, I trust these guys. Like, I might think I don't like what they're doing, but when they're done, I know I'll like it. So.
Bottom line, I know they could design a much prettier ship than I can every single time. So
50% of the time, all the time.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, what about the anti-fighter component? He was asking about what do we think about that? Do we even think that a Corvette that's what its main role is going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about starship design.
Right.
I think that in order for it to have like an anti-fighter role, we would have to see something like automated turrets that can track the ships, maybe.
Yeah,
or something
like AI controlled that hit faster. Well, right.
Yeah.
I think for it to be anti-fighter, we would either need to have man turrets be a lot more like actually functional, because like everybody was like, turrets are going to be great, and right now turrets are a giant waste of time. So, so that doesn't work. Missiles, it could be like, well, it'll have a bunch of missiles to take out fighters. Well, missiles would have to work, and so that's just not the case. So, for it to be an anti-fighter, we need other gameplay mechanics to get better. Also, here's the thing: is why would it be an anti-fighter? Because why would a fighter threaten a larger vessel that a Corvette is designed to protect? So right now, we don't know. Like, I personally think that when they do physicalized damage, or just even without physicalized damage, like when a ship attacks an Aurora, when a single seat fighter attacks a ship that's a Corvette or above, the armor on those things should be enough to just shrug off and laugh. Like, basically the shield regeneration outpaces the damage output. If you've got or maybe it doesn't, but even when you get through it, the armor's so thick that you would have to just sit there and be unopposed, and using up all your energy over and over and over again just to cut the smallest hole through. You would have to have, or your ballistics wouldn't even penetrate or damage the armor. Now they might damage the subcomponents or the external turrets, maybe. But you wouldn't be able to actually take down the ship with those fighters. So that means to me that fighters aren't a direct threat to a capital. They might be a threat to the capital shields. Like, maybe concentrated firepower of a squad of fighters might take down the shield facing on one side of, say, an Idris. And then at that point, your retaliator comes in and has a torpedo solution for that Idris that would not normally be able to even scratch the shields. But since the shields are now down, it can now take out a section or damage that Idris. And that's why, at that point, now the fighters are a threat to that Idris. Now you actually would have to have an anti-fighter escort. But as it stands right now, we don't have any information on any of that, and all of that is just theory and balance. So, I don't know.
I'm thinking that a strike team with the right combination should be able to do significant damage to a very stranded and lonely Idris.
I just don't know about that. They had talked about.
So, what team of Cutlasses and Vanguards couldn't punch a hole?
I think that Chris specifically said that it's going to take a lot more than 2 or 3 retaliators to scare an Idris. And I think so maybe if the retaliators had escorts to protect them and to cut down the shields so they could punch through, they would represent a threat. But that's a coordinated threat. That's not just because you always have these conversations on the forums where people are like, well, my retaliator is going to take down that Idris. And it's like, dude, your retaliator can be piloted by 1 person and 5 NPCs. It's not meant to threaten a ship that costs $1,250 and needs 37 people plus a pile of NPCs to run.
What's the role of the gladiator, though, if that's the case? Because
a light bomber would be against smaller like freighter level targets, like your Starfarer through Freelancer would be in my opinion, because it's got size 4 torpedoes.
Yeah, but they're actually size 4 or size 5 missiles right now, but they should be like size 5 torpedoes later on.
Right. But they haven't actually made a significant difference. And just like we were talking about earlier, we need to go test out the whole. I want to see what the torpedoes on the Tally do to a Starfare. I mean, I doubt they're balanced because nothing else in this game is balanced right now. So I don't know that it'll actually give us an accurate impression of anything. But the one good thing is with the Idris coming online soon, we're going to see whatever the beginning iteration of capital versus fighter versus corvette versus freighter gameplay is going to finally begin to rear its head. So I don't know. I see anti-fighter as probably the least necessary thing right now, because honestly, if you look at most of the turrets on the corvettes right now, their weapons are still small enough that they're probably anti-fighter. I mean, unless they upgrade the size on all the turrets on the Idris to be where the Idris is only good against medium and larger ships, and then it would need something to help protect it against fighters, and that's why it would scramble its own fighters, to intercept those retaliators and intercept those fighters that would be trying to dodge turret fire to take down a shield facing. We've had that conversation before. I don't know. I mean, Jacob, like from an outside perspective, I know you say you don't know anything about that, but what do you think? Does that make sense? Like how I've outlined it, or do you think it should be another way where fighters are absolutely a huge threat to big ships, and so hence big ships need giant escorts of anti-fighter corvettes and fighters themselves to defend. Like for instance, if have you watched The Fifth Element?
No, I haven't.
What? Oh my gosh!
I know, man. I know. Oh, I gotta catch up.
Oh, we'll have to have a Skype night and watch it. Anyways, so
so here's my 2 cents on this whole. So I think with the fighters, it shouldn't be that like you can take down a capital ship with like a couple of fighters or whatever. But it also shouldn't be that a capital ship is completely invulnerable to a well-coordinated assault from a number of fighters. Right. And I think that, like, if that were the case, then why would the Idris even keep fighters on it? Like, again, it's that balance.
Right.
You need to strike the right balance.
I mean, the Idris is a
fighter isn't useless against it,
right.
But it's not like someone can just jump in on their Aurora and take down an Idris. That's ridiculous.
Well, the Idris only carries 3 to 4 fighters, so that's not a whole lot. But I think that I think the Idris would depend on the majority of its turrets as anti-fighter close range support to heckle them. Its own fighters, it could either scramble to help defend against fighters, or scramble them as interceptors to knock out a would-be retaliator that's coming after it. But the retaliator would have to work in tandem with a squadron of fighters to take down a shield facing to allow its own torpedoes to punch through, hence making a deeper gameplay where everything is a series of coordinations, where no one ship is completely useless, nor is no one ship effective by itself. Otherwise, why would you have 37 people crewing an Idris when you can have 37 people crewing 37 retaliators, or 37 super hornets, or 37, you know what I mean? So at some point you have to take the bigger ships, the multi-crew ships, and the bigger they get, the more of a force multiplier they become. But at the same time, you have to allow strategy, tactics, and other things to threaten them. Where exactly like you were saying, coordinated assaults have to be the answer to those big ships if they're flown alone anyway. And of course, it's always an escalation of manpower and coordination to win a large scale conflict. What you got, Vadrian?
I'm doing some digging. You have to forgive me.
Just don't wipe it on the couch. That's just really gross. Use a tissue.
You didn't.
All right, so I get another community question. All right, all things related to my new favorite puddle jumper, the Argo. That was by David Mulgrew. All right, well, we talked about the Argo a bunch, so do we have anything else to comment on the Argo?
Do we think it's going to fit on?
I want it to fit in the Starfare, but I kind of don't think it will. I mean, I know there was a video of it doing it, but that was because there was a weird clipping issue where it basically just clipped through the floor and then, didn't actually land. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I kind of hope that we'd be able to have, like, more than one of them on an Idris without it taking up other ship slots, because I feel like I'd want to have one for dropping to the planet with crew to pick up crew and swap crew and having shore leave or whatever, and then having one for carrying cargo back and forth, so you could actually have them both working in tandem, or but I don't know, they're a fun ship. I like them. I just want an excuse to get 2 more.
Yeah, I love the concept
3,
of the
4
Argo.
more.
I love that we're getting ships that don't have guns on them.
Yes.
And I think it's a lovely ship to have in the universe. But at least for now, the only thing I'm going to be using an Argo for is an LTI chip.
I can't remember if I tested to see if it had a super cruise speed or a cruise speed or what it was.
Its cruise is 300, and
okay.
It's the guy who hasn't played 2.5, but it was, I know Board Gamer had a video of it, and I watched that. So nice, cruise is 300, SCM is 150.
Right. Okay, yeah. So it's not super fast. That's cool. Let's see. Thoughts on the soon-to-be crossbow that Ben talked about with Batgirl. Oh man, that means I missed 5 for Ben. Crap. Well, we already talked about that. So my thoughts on the crossbow is I just want it to be ass-kicking like Chewbacca's.
I'm hoping that it's heavy damage, heavy reload. So one really good, well-placed shot, you're going to knock the shit out of them. But at the same time, reload.
Well, I'm just hoping that my crossbow is just amazing and that no one else can get it. It's just, the win button. So I just push a button and I win. Now, actually, the soda crossbow is apparently there will be crossbows in the game. The soda one is just a skin. So you will not be able to get the skin in game unless you backed the Shroud of the Avatar, unless you buy it from a player who already has it. So it'll be a little bit unique, but not as far as statistically or power wise. It'll just be unique in how it looks. Anyways, let's see. Thomas Calusi. Does Ben sleep naked? Does Disco Lando wear underpants while he works?
He wears them on his head?
Does Chris Roberts iron his underwear? The answer to that was provided by David Mulgrew. Iron, Lord Roberts wears fresh, new, in a package undies every day, sometimes twice a day. Good answer. Covered. All right, so that covers our community questions.
I'm ready to do mine. This is the fun thing.
Oh, do it. What you got, man? What you got?
Well, I can't do the trivia question yet.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, man. I don't know. Jacob, tell us a little bit about you. I know you've been a backer for a year. Where did you go? Where did you make the changeover from I back the game and it's just another game to actually getting involved in the community? To now you're on a show talking about live streaming, talk about a game that's not even out yet.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy looking back at it. I backed December of 2015, right around there was a Christmas sale or something, or not a sale, but that it was right when they came out with 2.0.
Right.
And I think they hadn't even come out with it, but they were showing footage of it or something like that. But it had been under my radar for a little while, but I hadn't jumped the gun because, I'm still a college student.
Yeah,
I'm a broke college student.
Right.
And, so I ended up pledging for the game, and a really big part of why I got so into it, you're gonna be happy to hear this. It's the Ready Player One Facebook group, and I think it's just kind of the sense of camaraderie I get from everybody in there, and it's a place where I can see the content coming out and I can discuss it with people and read what people have to think about it, and it's just exponentially increased how excited I am for the game. And couple that with getting a job at Home Depot and having most of my bills paid for by my family for now.
Nice.
I have sunk a lot of money into Star Citizen.
Well, do be careful, because I will say this. I mean, we all say it, and we all know it, but we all forget. But we will be able to earn that crap in the verse. So keep your collection to just the core, starting things that you really want. So, anyways, but
it's actually that's something I wanted to discuss briefly. I think it's really fascinating to see how people put like hundreds, thousands of dollars into this game, and then when they see like certain other developers or systems or whatever putting out a game, and they say, "Oh, this isn't worth $60. This isn't worth that." And I think I like people have called that out before, but I think I understand where those types of people are coming from, because I wouldn't spend money on a game that I don't think is worth that money.
Right.
But seeing Chris Roberts and his passion for this game, and then seeing all the other backers and their passion for the game and everything, it really just ignites a fire for me. And I want to put what I can into this game, because I want this game to be successful. And I feel like there's a lot of naysayers, but I think this game has the chance to be like the game. I don't know how else to put it, but and
well, I hope so. I hope so, because that's kind of where I came from too. And I spent decades waiting for something like this, and I'd given up. I really had. I figured the only good games I would find would be like indie games here and there, and maybe steal little bits of enjoyment from this game, from that game, but never was I going to find another game that was going to go full bore. I figured by the time this happened, the only way it would ever happen is if I were super wealthy, bought a game company, and said, "Design this game. This is what I want." And instead of that, I saw Chris Roberts pitch, and I'm like, "Oh, look, here's a guy who's got more know-how than I do, is already involved in the industry, has a history." He was the perfect storm. And then he was brilliant with the Kickstarter, so there's a great idea, and he's basically doing exactly what I would have done if that were where I was. So I can trust him, because I'm not really trusting him for my sake. I'm trusting him because he's doing it for his own sake. This game is a game for him,
Yeah, this is
and yeah.
I look at all the content he pushes out, like videos and everything, and I see it's not about making money for him. At least from what I perceive, it's not about the money. It's about making the game that he wants to make, making the game that maybe technology didn't allow him to make before, and funding and all that stuff. And now he has that chance, and he's finally making that game, and I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, it is. It's something else. Like, I know Vadron's gonna kick me in the skull, but when I played EverQuest back in the early days when it first came out of beta, man, the first couple of years was an experience that was irreplaceable. Playing on a team PvP server, and just the role play guilds, and no one had ever done anything like that before. Nobody knew their ass from a hole in the ground when it came to these giant MMO games. Now you log into an MMO and everybody knows exactly what to expect. It doesn't matter if there's a couple of interesting game mechanics. Everybody knows the crafting. Everybody knows the level progression. Everybody knows all the little ways to play the game to just get to the highest level, get to the content, beat the game. Whereas back then it was all a mystery. You lost experience when you died. If somebody killed you, they could loot your body and take stuff from you. You could when you looted monsters for their stuff, nothing about the stuff said, hey, this item is needed to make this other item to craft armor. You had to figure all of that out, and it was crazy. It was something else.
What do you mean these 12 shiny toenails don't actually make any? Oh.
It's only 11 toenails and 1 bottle of water. But
back to the sewer.
But Star Citizen is the first game I've seen that has that kind of ambition and isn't going to betray the fans for a bigger market share. They're not trying to throw the World of Warcraft wide net. They're just trying to capture these people, and and if we can help fund it, then boom, we're good. And so I don't know, man. What you're talking about, Sings, I hear it. I hear exactly what you mean.
So who's ready for some 5 for the player action?
Are you ready, Jacob?
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
All right. First questions first. He always changes these on me, so I have to double check. If I don't, he's going to get me. This is the way it works, right? So, yeah, okay. So, all right. So, hey. Yeah. This is supposed to be really fast, right?
Did you love living documents?
I love living documents. Let me tell you. All right. Okay. So flight control of choice.
Wait, what was that?
What is your favorite flight control of choice?
I see. Well, I have my own little setup that I discovered on the forums, but I have HOTAS, and then mounted in front of it, I have an Xbox controller. And I use the Xbox controller and the 2 analog sticks for strafing. And I also have space brake and boost on there, so I'll decouple and use the controller and my flight stick. So it's hands-on stick and controller when I'm in combat.
This is how I friendly pick on Traz. I'm going to pick on you. These are rapid fire questions, not rapid fire essay questions. No. Okay, so least
I'm a
favorite
college student. I can't help it.
I know term papers and all that. Least favorite ship and why?
Oh, that's tough.
I hate them all.
I don't have one. I can't think of anything.
So you love the Redeemer's look. You love the penguin. I mean, I'd love the flying sewer plate that actually is a mount to that. The Cutlass.
We need a flying saucer ship.
I'll say
the Corvette needs to be a saucer.
I'm gonna pick the Saber just because
it's
a
so
dime a
mainstream.
dozen. I see them all the time, and just my inner hipster screams whenever I see them. So
we all know that the inner hipster doesn't lie.
Yep, most anticipated game mechanic. I liked it before it was cool.
Let's say planetary landing.
All right, FPS. What do you want to think about? What do you think about melee combat? Should it be a thing? Should it be a lightsaber? Do you want to have a vibroblade? What?
Melee combat, big yes. But how it's implemented, I'm gonna leave that up to CIG because they know better than I do.
Like Kingdom Come.
Yeah. I seen it. He was actually editing that question as we were talking. So yeah.
I'd love to see a complex like fighting mechanic, but I know there's already so many promised features, and
That would be so cool.
You think this is air you're breathing? It's not. We're in space.
You think this is air you're breathing? No, you're not breathing that. You're breathing my hate.
Oh, imagine like knocking the
boots
oxygen off of your opponent with like a well-placed strike. Like it's the possibilities.
Right. Just a nice hammer to the faceplate does the same thing.
I just think that when you shoot them, the hole where they get shot should hemorrhage air like one of their control jets and cause them to careen into space.
All right. Ouch. Yeah. All right. Unmonitored space. You need a mission, but someone is about to loot the mission crate. Shoot him and take your loot, or do you want to wait and respawn the mission, or do you want to discuss it?
Is this like alpha, or is this?
This is
real game.
Unmonitored space, so you know.
Unmonitored space. I want it. I'm gonna take it.
Oh.
All right. So here's what. Okay. So we finally hit the trivia of the thing, and I've been bringing over this one for a while. So last minute bit of fun before we close out. The rules of the game are simple. You have 30 seconds to answer this question, and if you get it right, I credit you for $5. If you should, however, get it wrong, I let the audience actually try to take a stab at the question before the end of the music. And Trash, for some odd reason, always loves to give out hints and play extra long songs. So
I do what I can.
The Benny Hill theme works here.
For the community.
Yeah. Anywho, and I am, So the question is going to be, let me go ahead and get my clock ready. Because it wouldn't be fair without a clock. All right. This voice actor has also been known to work for 90210, Biker Mice from Mars, and Sharknado. Who is he, and what is his affiliation with Chris Roberts?
I can tell you right now, I'm not going to get this one.
Quentin Tarantino. No, just kidding. I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. I don't know my voice actors. I'm sorry.
Not just a voice actor. He's only a voice actor in this role. Would you like to buy a hint? No. That's how
you can buy a $5 hint for the $5 prize.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
All right. I've given you bonus time. All right. So if you don't have an answer, okay. 5, 4, 3, 1, done. Okay. It was actually more like a minute.
Yeah. It could have been 1 second. The difference, there wouldn't have been one.
Yeah. All right, so y'all heard the question. Go ahead, knock yourselves out, take a few stabs in the dark. If you get it, cool. If you don't, cool. Either way, I win. So
I think we may be the audience at this point, though. It's been a long show. So, anyways,
it wasn't filled by me, I promise.
Gotcha.
I gotta pick on you. It's fun. All right, so you ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been wonderful. It's been grand, Jacob. Thank you for coming on the Station42, and we hope that you had a great time.
Thank you for having me. It was a whole lot of fun, and I really love talking about the game. So I'm glad I got to do it and get listened to by a bunch of people while I do.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you came on, and thanks for putting up with my also stupid amounts of passion about talking about the game. I swear I talk too much.
This is the Star Citizen Passion Hour.
That's right. We're gonna change the name for a while. Star Citizen, the Star Citizen Passion Hour. Brought to you by
right after that, it's gonna be. And then coming right up after that, folks, is gonna be Star Citizen Heat.
Oh God. All right. Well, hey, shout out to our audience. Thank you for spending your listening time with Station42. If you have any comments or requests, definitely give it to us. YouTube, Facebook, homing pigeon, homing missile, whatever. All of the above. Vedra.
Who, me? Oh yeah. We would love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe if you're listening. Oh my God, is somebody actually listening? It keeps us motivated. I promise, it keeps us motivated. Thanks everyone, and we will see you next week. I really need to quit drinking so much caffeine.
All right, keying in the coordinates to Grimhex. So prepare for a hot arrival. Here we go.
And the answer to the trivia question is, this does cancel, by the way, Ian Ziering. He is known as the voice of Edison Trip.